Hello, fight fans. Are you ready for UFC 233? I was, well, Dana White says, too bad. Canceled. This is not clickbait. Do not adjust your screen. Do not accuse me of making up any stories. The UFC reported to MMA Junkie in a release that will go public here soon. But we're going to beat them to the punch a little bit. UFC today announced that the UFC 233 pay-per-view event scheduled for January 26 is postponed. All bouts previously slated for UFC 233 are being rescheduled for upcoming cards. The February 10th pay-per-view event on Red Rover Arena in Melbourne, Australia will remain entitled UFC 234. Whitaker versus Gastelum. Tickets for UFC 231 sold out within minutes. Well, that's going to be a great bout, but this is absolutely huge news. The ESPN UFC new conglomerate says that the event calendar will still feature 12 pay-per-view events for the year. Additional details about the postponed pay-per-view will be announced at a later date. This is incredibly embarrassing to the UFC. This is the second time in their promotion. And for as many events as they have, I got to say, only having 2 canceled events, that's not so bad. The last time this happened, you guys that have been around that long might remember, was when John Jones was scheduled to defend his belt. His opponent was not able to compete. They gave him Chael Sonnen. He was supposed to fight Chael Sonnen on a little more than a week's notice, and he declined. He said it was not enough time to prepare for a new opponent, even though Chael Sonnen hadn't prepared at all. What's going to happen with the bouts on this UFC, though? And they're just going to skip that number. They've done that in the past. We have one skip. We're going to have another now. Prior to the change, the UFC 233 lineup included Ben Askren versus Robbie Lawler, Francisco Trinaldo. They're still trying to find him opponent. Paul Felder versus James Vick, another great match. Yana Kunitskaya versus Marion Reneau. Cynthia Calvillo versus Courtney Casey. One I was really looking forward to, Alex Casera versus Kron Gracie. Kron Gracie, the son of the legendary Rickson Gracie. Return of Joseph Benavidez versus Deiveson Figueiredo. John Lineker. They were also looking for an opponent for him for that match. That match now is scrapped. Originally scheduled for that, of course, was Henry Cejudo versus TJ Dillashaw. That was pulled off, and that's a great thing for fans. That was pulled off to go on ESPN 1 for their debut. ESPN Plus 1, January 19th. So that's a $5 a month service. That's going to be a great matchup. Rumors are that they were trying to get Tyron Woodley to defend his belt on UFC 233. That's what they were trying to schedule. Hoping to get, Colby Covington or possibly Kimura. I can't understand why nobody wants to watch me, Usman, for that event. But Tyron Woodley unable to compete due to having another surgery, this time on his hand. I think he's had several surgeries on his hand. But that's one pay-per-view down. When does the pay-per-view market end? When does the UFC and some of these boxing people realize the people that are moving in, ESPN, most notably DAZN. DAZN is coming. They are killing it. They're having Canelo Alvarez for free this Saturday. For free. $10 a month, or you can take their free trial. Canelo Alvarez's last fight was $85. He's taking on Rocky Fielding on Saturday. That main event should start about 8 p.m. Pacific. We'll talk about that more tonight as we stream on MMA Trivia. Fights with Friends MMA Trivia will be on tonight live at 5. I'll make another announcement on that to make sure everybody gets this. But this is huge news. As like I said, this is only the second ever UFC numbered card scratched. Out of here. Kaput. Hopefully we see more non-pay-per-view UFCs, because honestly, I think the fans, they're just getting tired of dropping $65-70 when you can watch these things on Bellator, on TV. As I recently announced, ONE FC just signed with Turner Broadcasting System. They're going to put some events on TBS in the next 3 years. And then DAZN, they are just blowing it up. You got Bellator, you got lots of MMA over there, lots of boxing. Like I said, Canelo Alvarez, they just signed also Anthony Joshua. They're making signing after signing. I think that affiliates like DAZN and honestly probably DAZN, those guys are the future of this sport. And I think the UFC and the total pay-per-view model is dead. It's dead. The fans called for it. They're tired of paying for it. And I think this is it. And I think this needs to happen for combat sports to make that next step into the mainstream. Boxing was in the mainstream once again. UFC has teetered on mainstream. Now they have the deal with ESPN. Bellator has the deal with DAZN. DAZN is also signing tons of major boxing matches. And ESPN has a lot of boxing going on this year. So there's plenty of fighting to get through this year without spending your money on any pay-per-views. $10 a month for DAZN, $5 a month for ESPN Plus. We're going to get our fights in this year, I believe, without the pay-per-view. I want to know what you think, though. This is a conversation. Please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you're new here, and ring that bell so you're notified whenever I go live or drop a new video. Until next time, as always, I love you, I respect you, and I'll see your fine asses later.